Welcome to Neurovale, a threshold into unmasked psychology and philosophy. What the body cannot express in words, it will express in illness. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to collapse under health problems even though they eat well, exercise, and do everything right? One of the answers lies in something most of us ignore: repressed stress. Stress is not only the racing thoughts you feel during a busy day, it is the argument you swallowed, the tears you held back, the anger you silenced, and the constant pressure to look fine when you are not. When stress is buried, it does not disappear. It lingers in the body like a toxic residue. Your nervous system learns to stay on guard as if danger never ends. Cortisol and adrenaline keep flooding your blood even in calm moments, slowly wearing down your immune system. Over time, this can open the door to chronic fatigue, heart disease, autoimmune conditions, and even cancer. Repressed stress is dangerous because it is invisible. On the outside, you look composed, but inside your body is fighting a war it cannot win. Many people think they are being strong by keeping things in, yet in truth, the body is carrying what the mind refuses to face. This is why Dr. Gabor Maté warns that unexpressed emotions can literally kill. Facing your stress is not weakness. It is a radical act of honesty that keeps your body from collapsing under the weight of silence. To heal, you must let your truth breathe, or your body will speak it for you. Stick with me, let's explore deeper. Number 1. What the mind hides, the body remembers. Stress you deny does not vanish. It relocates into your body and rewires your nervous system to live in survival mode. This is not a poetic statement, it is a biological reality. Imagine every time you swallow your anger, hold back your tears, or convince yourself that you are fine, your body has to store that tension somewhere. And because the mind does not release it, the body carries it. Over time, your nervous system adapts to this weight by living as if danger never ends. Think of survival mode like a house alarm that never switches off. At first it protects you, but after a while the constant ringing starts to damage the house itself. In the same way, stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline flood your system day after day, damaging your immune response, disrupting sleep, and even changing how your brain processes memory and focus. You may appear calm to the world, but inside your body is locked in a war. Take the example of someone who grows up in a home where they must always please others to avoid conflict. That child learns to silence fear, anger, and sadness in order to be accepted. Fast forward into adulthood, and that person may appear strong and composed, but their nervous system has been living in tension for years. They may struggle with migraines, digestive issues, or unexplained fatigue. Their body is shouting what their voice never dared to say. The truth is, repressed stress is not about dramatic breakdowns. It is about the quiet erosion of health and identity. You begin to lose touch with your own emotions, mistaking numbness for peace. You attract relationships where you are valued for silence rather than authenticity. And your body eventually forces the truth out through illness, breakdowns, or addictions. This is why Gabor Maté warns that unexpressed emotions become sickness. Healing starts when you stop betraying your own feelings for the comfort of others. It does not mean exploding in rage or drowning in tears, but finding safe ways to let your truth breathe. Journaling, therapy, deep conversations, or even simply acknowledging to yourself that you are not okay can reset the alarm system. Stress unspoken will always find a voice. The choice is whether you give it words or whether your body will speak for you. Number 2. The body never forgets the truth the mind tries to bury. Wound they absorbed from others and themselves. It becomes a storm years in the making. This is not the kind of storm you can predict by watching the skies darken. It is the kind that brews quietly beneath the surface for years, gathering strength, waiting for the exact moment when silence is no longer enough. Most people misunderstand an empath's breaking point. They assume it is a single event that pushes them over the edge. The truth is far more complex. When an empath finally explodes, it is not because of one careless word or one betrayal. It is because of the thousands of times they were ignored, dismissed, drained, or used without acknowledgement. Every little cut adds up until the body can no longer hold the blood. The anger that comes out is not just today's anger, It is the anger of yesterday, last year, and every moment they convince themselves to let it slide. For example, picture the coworker who always carries the extra workload. At first they smile, they nod, and they tell themselves it is fine. Then months later, after being overlooked for credit and buried in expectations, they suddenly raise their voice in a way that shocks everyone. People call it an overreaction. In reality, it is years of being unappreciated, breaking free in one breath. That is what makes an empath's snapping so overwhelming. They are not reacting to a single trigger. They are releasing a lifetime of stored emotion. The rage is layered. It is not just anger at others, it is disappointment in themselves for tolerating so much. It is frustration at having stayed silent for too long. It is grief for the self they lost while holding everyone else together. The storm of an empath is dangerous because it carries clarity. When they finally erupt, they do not speak carelessly. They speak with precision. They remind people of the truths that were conveniently forgotten. They know where the wounds are because they carried them in their own chest. And here lies the lesson. Never mistake quietness for emptiness. Never mistake patience for weakness. An empath who snaps does not simply lose control. They reclaim it. And when they do, the world around them is forced to face every hidden truth they once swallowed in silence. Number 3. The body is like a loyal guard dog. If it is trained to bark at everything, even shadows will feel like danger. Suppressed emotions train your immune system to mistake safety for threat, leaving you vulnerable to disease because your body no longer knows when to rest. This is not philosophy, it is biology. Your immune system is designed to protect you, but it learns from your emotional life as much as from germs and viruses. When you constantly push feelings down, the body interprets that pressure as a warning sign. Over time, your inner defenses begin to fire even when there is no real threat. Think of someone who never allows themselves to cry. They tell themselves they are strong, but the tears they hold back create tension in the nervous system. The body reads this tension as danger. The immune system, confused, goes into overdrive. It begins to attack not just infections, but even the body itself. This is how autoimmune conditions often develop. The body is simply following the training it has been given. Another example is the person who hides anger for years. On the outside, they may look calm, but inside their heart races and their blood vessels tighten every time they are wronged. Their immune system reacts as if they are under attack, flooding them with chemicals meant for emergencies. The problem is that the emergency never ends. Slowly, this wears down their health, leading to heart problems, fatigue, or constant inflammation. When emotions are suppressed, rest no longer feels safe. Even moments of peace feel suspicious. You lie in bed but cannot sleep because your body believes danger is around the corner. You take a vacation but cannot relax because your system is still wired for survival. The wisdom here is simple but often ignored. Your emotions are not enemies, they are signals. Anger tells you where your boundaries are. Sadness tells you what you have lost. Fear tells you where caution is needed. If you silence these signals, your body does not relax, it panics. Healing begins when you retrain your system to see safety as safety. That means allowing yourself to feel without shame. It means speaking your truth in small ways, giving tears, anger, and fear a voice. The moment you allow emotions to flow, your immune system begins to learn that it can finally rest. And when your body rests, it heals. Number 4. Time does not just pass on the clock, it also passes inside your cells. Repressed stress ages you quietly by shortening your telomeres, stripping years from your life while you tell yourself you are fine. Telomeres are protective caps at the ends of your chromosomes. You can imagine them as the plastic tips at the end of shoelaces that stop the lace from fraying. Every time a cell divides, telomeres get a little shorter. When they become too short, the cell can no longer function properly. This is one of the ways your body measures age. Now here is where stress comes in. Chronic, hidden stress accelerates this shortening process. You may believe you are holding it all together, but your cells know the truth. The stress you refuse to acknowledge becomes biological wear and tear, shaving years off your life. On the outside, you may look calm and composed, but inside, your body is rushing toward burnout. Think of someone working in a demanding job where they must constantly smile through exhaustion and hide their frustration. They reassure themselves that it is only work and that they are fine. But their telomeres are shrinking faster than they should. Over time, this silent process shows up as premature aging, weakened immunity, or early onset of diseases usually reserved for much older people. This is why repressed stress is so deceptive. It does not always cause dramatic breakdowns right away. Instead, it quietly chips away at vitality. You may notice you look older than your years, feel more tired than you should, or recover from illness more slowly. These are not random misfortunes. They are the debt of unspoken stress being collected at the cellular level. The wisdom here is unsettling, yet liberating. Your body is not fooled by your denial. You can convince your mind with positive talk, but your cells are listening to the tension you carry. Every fake smile, every silenced outburst, every swallowed truth leaves a mark. But the process is not irreversible. Studies show that practices like meditation, deep emotional honesty, genuine social connection, and even regular exercise can protect and even lengthen telomeres. This means the way you live and the way you express yourself directly influence how long and how well you live. Repressed stress shortens life, but authentic living restores it. The question is, will you keep pretending you are fine, or will you allow your truth to keep you alive? Number 5. The emotions you silence do not disappear. They change language and begin to speak through the body. The more you silence your anger, the more your body whispers through ulcers, migraines, chronic fatigue, or autoimmune breakdowns. Anger is one of the most misunderstood emotions. Many of us are taught that anger is ugly, dangerous, or shameful. So we swallow it, bury it, and pretend it never existed. But anger, like all emotions, is energy. If you refuse to release it outward, the body has no choice but to hold it inward. Imagine pouring boiling water into a glass container and sealing it tightly. If the steam cannot escape, pressure builds. Eventually, the glass will crack. Suppressed anger works in exactly the same way. At first, it seems manageable. You force a smile, you keep the peace, you tell yourself it is not worth it. But deep down, your body records the pressure. Over time, the steam has to escape somewhere, and it does so in the form of physical symptoms. Take the example of someone who constantly tolerates unfair treatment at work. They never confront their boss, they never express their frustration. Instead, they keep silent to protect their image or paycheck. Months later, they begin experiencing stomach ulcers or crippling migraines. This is not coincidence. It is the body turning unspoken rage into physical pain. Chronic fatigue is another common result. Anger that is never released consumes energy like a hidden fire burning beneath the surface. You wake up exhausted not because you lack sleep, but because your body has been fighting an internal war all night. Autoimmune disorders can also emerge, where the body starts attacking itself, reflecting years of attacking yourself for feeling emotions you were never allowed to express. The truth is, anger is not the enemy. Anger is information. It tells you when a boundary has been crossed, or when something is unjust. By silencing it, you are not becoming peaceful, you are becoming sick. Wisdom begins when you learn to give anger a healthy voice. That does not mean lashing out or causing harm. It means acknowledging it, speaking it clearly, writing it down, moving your body, or setting firm boundaries. When anger is expressed safely, the body relaxes because the message has been delivered. Your body only whispers through illness when your voice refuses to speak. The choice is simple. Either you listen to your anger, or you let your body carry its painful echo. Number 6. When the body carries unspoken stress, the mind rewrites the story of the world. Carrying stress you never express makes your nervous system believe the world is hostile, which hardens your personality into defensiveness and distrust. This is how stress stops being just a temporary state and becomes your entire identity. When your body lives in tension for too long, your nervous system rewires itself for survival. It begins to scan every room for threat, even when no one means you harm. A simple disagreement feels like an attack. A small delay feels like betrayal. You no longer see people as they are. You see them through the lens of your unresolved stress. Think of someone who grew up in an unpredictable home where they had to walk on eggshells every day. As an adult, they may appear calm, but deep inside their nervous system has learned that safety does not exist. They interpret kindness as manipulation and intimacy as danger. They are not cold by choice. They are defended because their body remembers too much. This is why unresolved stress is so destructive. It shapes your relationships. It makes you push people away before they can hurt you. It convinces you to mistrust love, dismiss opportunity, and live behind walls. You may call it independence or strength, but at its core it is protection. Over time, this constant defensiveness becomes exhausting. You feel misunderstood because others only see your guarded exterior, not the wounded nervous system underneath. You begin to mistake isolation for peace, when in truth it is fear wearing a mask. The wisdom here is difficult but necessary. Your nervous system is not lying to you. It is simply stuck in old training. It learned hostility where there is none. The way forward is not to shame yourself for being defensive, but to gently show your body that safety exists now. Practices like honest communication, therapy, and even small acts of vulnerability retrain the system to relax. Stress that is never expressed does not just harm your health, it reshapes your personality into someone you were never meant to be. The moment you release that hidden weight, you begin to see the world not as an enemy, but as a place where trust and connection are possible again. Number 7. The greatest prison you will ever live in is the one where you cannot be yourself. When you bury your pain, you also bury your authenticity. And living without authenticity is a slow spiritual suffocation. Pain is not just an inconvenience. It is a teacher, a signal, a truth teller. When you silence it, you're not only denying the hurt, you are denying the part of yourself that experienced it. Over time, you begin to live as a character, not a person. Think of the times you said, "I'm fine," when you were breaking inside. Each of those moments may seem small, but together they form a pattern. You begin to train yourself to be who others need you to be rather than who you really are. You smile when you want to cry, you agree when you want to scream, you stay quiet when you want to speak. Slowly, the mask becomes so familiar that you forget what your real face looks like. This is the tragedy of buried pain. It robs you of your authenticity, which is the very core of your humanity. You may gain approval, but it comes at the cost of your soul. You may keep peace with others, but you declare war against yourself. And that inner war shows up in subtle but devastating ways. Anxiety that never leaves. Depression that weighs you down. Addictions that fill the space where your truth should be. Consider the person who grows up believing they must never show weakness. They bury every wound to appear strong. Outwardly, they succeed, but inwardly they feel hollow. The applause they receive does not touch them, because the version of themselves being celebrated is not real. Authenticity is oxygen for the spirit. Without it, you can survive, but you cannot truly live. The suffocation is slow, which makes it dangerous. You may not notice it until years have passed, and you realize you no longer know who you are without the mask. The way back begins with the courage to feel. To say, "This hurt me," without shame. To allow tears, anger, or vulnerability to surface. Authenticity is not about being perfect. It is about being real. And only when you allow yourself to be real does your spirit finally breathe again. Number 8. What children cannot make sense of, they learn to survive. Stress denied in childhood often becomes disease in adulthood because your developing brain learned to normalize tension as love. A child has no frame of reference for what is healthy or unhealthy. If home is filled with shouting, criticism, or cold silence, the child's nervous system adapts. Instead of recognizing it as stress, they interpret it as normal. And because children are wired to depend on their caregivers, they often confuse that tension with love itself. Imagine a child who grows up with a parent whose affection is unpredictable. Some days they are warm, other days they are harsh. The child learns to walk on eggshells, keeping their feelings hidden so they do not upset the parent. On the surface, it looks like obedience. But inside, the body is storing fear, sadness, and anger with no safe outlet. Fast forward 20 years, and that child is now an adult who still equates love with tension. Their relationships feel incomplete without conflict. Their body, however, has paid the price: chronic anxiety, digestive problems, migraines, or autoimmune issues. The tragedy is that what once kept them safe as a child is now destroying their health as an adult. The nervous system that learned to live on high alert never shuts off. Even in moments of calm, the body expects danger. This constant vigilance floods the system with stress hormones, weakening immunity and wearing down vital organs. This is why Dr. Gabor Maté warns that repression is not just psychological, it is biological. The body remembers what the mind tries to forget. The adult may not consciously recall their childhood stress, but their body replays it daily through illness and exhaustion. Healing begins with awareness, to recognize that not everything you called love was truly love. To see that survival patterns built in childhood may no longer serve you. It is painful to face, but liberating. Because the moment you name the truth, you stop passing that unspoken stress to your body and to the next generation. Stress denied in childhood is powerful, but it is not destiny. By reclaiming your story, by allowing the feelings you once buried to surface, you can retrain your nervous system to finally know what safety and true love feels like. Number 9. Numbness feels safe, but it is really the silence of a life unlived. Pretending to be unbothered rewires your brain into numbness. But numbness is not peace, it is self-abandonment. Many people wear the mask of being unshaken, of being the one who is always calm and untouchable. On the surface, it looks like strength. But what is really happening is that the brain is adapting to constant suppression. Each time you tell yourself, "This doesn't hurt me," when it actually does. Your mind learns to shut down emotional signals. Slowly, you stop noticing pain altogether. At first, this seems like control. You think, "I am finally free from overreacting," but in truth, numbness is not freedom. It is disconnection. You lose the ability to feel joy with the same intensity you lose the ability to feel hurt. The same walls that block pain also block love, creativity, and intimacy. Consider someone who grows up in a household where showing feelings is mocked or punished. As a child, they decide it is safer to act unbothered. Over the years, this act becomes automatic. As an adult, they look composed and stoic, but inside they feel hollow. Relationships become shallow because real closeness requires vulnerability. Work feels meaningless because passion requires emotional fire. They are not at peace, they are simply absent from themselves. Numbness is seductive because it looks like calm in a chaotic world. But real peace is not the absence of feeling. It is the capacity to feel fully without being destroyed by it. Real strength is to say, "Yes, this hurt me," and still move forward, not to erase the hurt and erase yourself with it. Self-abandonment may protect you from pain in the short term, but in the long term it robs you of authenticity. You begin to live a version of yourself that is palatable to others, but foreign to your own soul. The body eventually resists through exhaustion, depression, or unexplained illness, all ways of saying you cannot keep leaving yourself behind. Peace is not numbness. Peace is presence. It is being whole enough to feel every emotion and still remain rooted in who you are. Anything less is just survival, and survival is not the same as living. Number 10. The face may smile, but the body knows when the soul is lying. Every forced smile in a toxic situation teaches your subconscious that betrayal of self is the only path to belonging. On the outside, you look agreeable, polite, even admirable. But on the inside, every time you twist your truth into a grin, you are teaching your nervous system a dangerous lesson. That in order to be accepted, you must erase yourself. At first it feels harmless. You are keeping the peace. You are avoiding conflict. You are convincing yourself that silence is strength. But repetition is powerful. The brain learns patterns through practice, and every forced smile is practice in self-betrayal. Over time, you stop noticing the difference between the real you and the performance. The mask hardens, and soon you wear it, even when no one is demanding it from you. Think of a child who grows up in a home where they must stay cheerful to avoid punishment or rejection. That child learns early that authenticity is dangerous, so they trade honesty for safety. Fast forward into adulthood, and they become the person who always laughs at unfunny jokes, always agrees when they disagree, always appears fine when they are crumbling inside. The cost is invisible but devastating. Their body carries the stress, their mouth refuses to speak, leading to anxiety, chronic fatigue, or unexplained illness. What makes this so tragic is that belonging built on self-betrayal is not belonging at all. It is conditional acceptance, a shallow version of connection that leaves you lonelier than being alone. Your subconscious cannot be fooled. It knows when your smile is a disguise, and it records that deception as trauma. True belonging never asks you to abandon yourself. It allows you to bring your whole truth into the room without punishment. That kind of belonging may be rare, but it is the only kind that heals. So the question becomes, how many more times will you force the smile before you realize the cost? Because each time you do, your body pays for the acceptance your soul never agreed to. Number 11. The body can get so used to chaos that peace begins to feel unnatural. Repressed stress hijacks your endocrine system, flooding you with cortisol until your body is addicted to chaos even in moments of calm. Cortisol is the hormone that helps you respond to danger. In short bursts, it sharpens your senses and gives you energy to fight or run. But when stress is buried instead of expressed, your body never gets the signal that the danger has passed. Cortisol stays high, and over time, your system becomes hooked on the chemical storm. This is why some people cannot relax even when everything is fine. They lie in bed, but toss and turn as if waiting for something to go wrong. They take a holiday but feel restless instead of rested. Their bodies have been trained to survive on tension, so stillness feels unsafe. Peace is no longer peace. It feels like vulnerability. Imagine someone who grows up in a home full of conflict. As a child, their body learns to always be alert, ready for the next explosion. Years later, even in a quiet apartment, their body keeps scanning for threats. The cortisol never stops flowing. They may appear calm, but inside their organs, hormones, and immune system are being worn down by the endless flood. Eventually, this imbalance shows up as high blood pressure, weight gain, fatigue, diabetes, or weakened immunity. The cruel part is that this cycle can feel normal. Some even seek out stressful environments because calm feels unbearable. They create drama, overwork themselves, or stay in toxic relationships, not because they want pain, but because their body has become addicted to the chaos of stress chemistry. Repressed stress does not just harm you emotionally, it rewires your biology to confuse danger with safety. And until you release it, your body will keep choosing chaos over calm. The way forward is retraining your system to recognize peace again. That might mean breathing exercises that tell your body the danger is over, journaling emotions you once buried, or slowly allowing yourself to sit in quiet without rushing to fill the space. Little by little, the body can learn that calm is not a threat, but the ground it has been searching for all along. Number 12. The mask of being fine is heavy, and it is your body that pays the weight of carrying it. You may appear functional, yet your body carries the cost of your silence through insomnia, digestive issues, and inflammation that medicine cannot fully explain. This is one of the cruel truths about repressed stress. It allows you to move through the world looking composed, even successful, while quietly draining your health from the inside out. Think of insomnia. Many people lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, unable to switch their minds off. On the surface, it feels like overthinking. But beneath that, it is the body refusing to relax because unresolved stress is telling the nervous system that danger is still present. No amount of counting sheep can override a body convinced it is unsafe. Digestive issues follow the same pattern. The gut is lined with nerve cells so sensitive it is often called the second brain. When emotions are silenced, the gut becomes the storage room. That is why suppressed frustration can show up as ulcers, constipation, irritable bowel syndrome, or unexplained stomach pain. It is not just bad digestion. It is the language of a body carrying feelings you refuse to name. Then there is inflammation, the silent fire that medicine often struggles to explain. You go for tests, the results show nothing alarming, yet the fatigue, the pain, the swelling remain. This happens because repressed stress keeps your immune system switched on like a fire alarm that never stops ringing. The body begins to burn itself from within, not out of malice but out of confusion. The tragedy is that society often praises people who appear unbothered. You get called resilient, dependable, strong. No one sees the cost of that silence, the nights you cannot sleep, the meals that sit heavy in your stomach, the unexplained aches that doctors struggle to solve. But here is the wisdom. Your body is not betraying you, it is communicating. Every symptom is a message. Insomnia is your body begging for safety. Stomach pain is your gut demanding you feel what you swallowed. Inflammation is your immune system asking you to stop pretending everything is fine. You can keep appearing functional to the world, but until you face your silence, your body will keep speaking for you, and its language, unlike yours, is impossible to ignore. Number 13. Strength without expression is not strength, it is a slow collapse in disguise. The mask of being strong often disguises a body collapsing internally from pressure it cannot voice. Society loves the image of the unshakable person, the one who never breaks, never cries, never asks for help. We admire that image so much that many of us learn to wear it. But the mask of strength is heavy, and while it may fool the world, it cannot fool the body. When you refuse to show weakness, your body is forced to carry it for you. The weight of unspoken stress settles into your muscles as tension, into your gut as pain, into your immune system as exhaustion. You look dependable, yet your body is quietly eroding under the strain. The more convincing your mask, the more invisible your suffering becomes. Think of the friend who is always the reliable one, the problem solver, the rock for everyone else. They never complain, they always smile, they never admit when life feels unbearable. Yet behind closed doors they struggle with migraines, insomnia, or health issues no one sees. The mask tells the world they are fine, but their body tells the truth. This is the paradox. What we call strength is often just suppression dressed up as resilience, and suppression has a cost. The nervous system never rests, the heart beats harder, and the immune system weakens. You survive for others while silently abandoning yourself. Real strength is not about wearing the mask. It is about allowing your humanity to be visible. It is having the courage to say, "I am not okay," without shame. It is giving your body permission to release the pressure instead of forcing it to hold what your voice denies. The wisdom here is simple. Unvoiced pressure never disappears. It only finds another outlet. You can either express it in words, in tears, in honest conversations, or your body will express it through illness, burnout, and collapse. The mask may win you admiration, but it costs you your health. True strength is not about never breaking. It is about knowing when to take the mask off before it suffocates you. Number 14. What the mouth refuses to confess, the hands and habits will reveal. Stress that cannot be spoken gets expressed through compulsions, addictions, and self-sabotaging choices that look irrational, but are perfectly logical cries for release. The human body and mind are designed to find balance. When you silence your stress, that energy does not disappear. It demands an outlet. And if you deny it language, it will find behavior. This is why someone who seems disciplined in every area of life might secretly overeat at night, scroll endlessly on their phone, or drink far more than they intended. To an outsider, it looks weak or irrational. But to the body, these habits are a survival strategy. They provide a temporary doorway out of pressure when no other escape exists. Think of the professional who works long hours, never complains, and is admired for composure. They never speak about how exhausted they feel. Instead, they binge on junk food late at night or numb themselves with endless television. It is not laziness. It is the body's desperate attempt to self-soothe when the mouth refuses to speak. Addictions often grow from this same soil. Whether it is alcohol, shopping, gambling, or even perfectionism, the pattern is the same. Stress needs release. If it cannot come out in words or tears, it leaks out in behaviors. What looks like self-destruction is often the nervous system begging for relief. Even self-sabotage follows this logic. You might miss deadlines, ruin relationships, or walk away from opportunities. On the surface, it makes no sense, but deep down, the chaos matches the storm inside you. In a strange way, failure feels safer than facing feelings you were taught to bury. The tragedy is that we often shame ourselves for these habits instead of understanding them. We call them weaknesses when they are really messages. compulsions are not proof of brokenness. They are proof that your stress is overflowing. The wisdom here is not to hate your coping mechanisms, but to listen to them. They are signposts pointing to what has been silenced. Healing begins not by punishing the behavior, but by asking, what truth have I been too afraid to say? Once the silence is broken, the compulsions lose their power, because the pressure has finally found its rightful release. In final words, the body never lies. So the question is, how long can you keep telling yourself you are fine when your body is proving otherwise? You may silence your thoughts, you may swallow your words, but your body has no interest in protecting your image. It only knows how to keep score, and eventually the debt of repressed stress comes due. Dr. Gabor Maté reminds us that stress denied is not stress erased. It mutates into illness, exhaustion, and behaviors you cannot fully explain. What feels like bad luck or a random health problem is often the body's last attempt to speak for you. The migraines, the insomnia, the tension in your chest are not enemies to fight against, but messages to finally acknowledge. Healing does not start with perfection. It starts with honesty. It starts when you allow yourself to say, I am not okay, without shame. When you stop pretending that carrying everything alone makes you strong. Real strength is giving your body what it has always wanted, permission to feel, to rest, and to be heard. The truth is simple yet uncomfortable. Stress that is not expressed will always express itself through you. The choice is whether you will translate it into words and actions that heal, or leave it to translate itself into symptoms that harm. Your body is waiting for you to listen. The longer you delay, the louder it will speak. The time to hear it is not tomorrow. It is now. Thank you for watching, and see you in another episode.